Welcome to another episode of The Disruptors, where we're arming you with the tools you need to innovate within the physical therapy space by highlighting those who have come before you. I'm your host, Stephen Cohen. Now, let's get into it. Everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Disruptors, where we're highlighting the people that are innovating within physical therapy. Today, I'm blessed to be joined by Scott Gardner. Scott graduated from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore in 1996 with a master's in physical therapy and a doctorate in physical therapy from Drexel in 2008. He is the co-owner of Physical Therapy and Balance Centers in Delmarva, formerly known as Apex Physical Therapy. He has been a board-certified orthopedic specialist since 2003. The change in the practice name is a result of joining a network of independent physical therapists who want to provide the latest in physical therapy interventions, improve overall health and well-being of our community, as well as preventing falls in our population. He is excited about the future and the difference physical will make. In his spare time, he is vice president of the American Physical Therapy Association's Maryland chapter and is the president of the Physical Franchise Council. So, Scott, I'm sure I missed a couple of things.
No, that's good. Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, let's, that's the bio, right? But I would love to learn from you, what's your why, right? Like, how did you get here? And maybe even more importantly, why did you get here and why the passion for physical therapy?
So I'm 28 years of practicing as a PT, and about 14 years ago, I decided to go into practice on my own just because I wanted to be had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I also wanted to be my own boss and be able to grow a practice how I wanted to, put the equipment into a practice that I wanted to have to be the latest and greatest clinic in the area technology-wise. And I think we've achieved that. We have 2 AlterGs, we have virtual reality, we have BFR, we have safety overhead support systems. I wanted, we go to physical therapy school, we get doctorate degrees, and we should be practicing in facilities to facilitate our ability to treat our patients to the best of what we know. So having all these tools available for my therapists makes them enjoy their job a little bit easier, makes their job a little bit easier to perform, and the patients as well enjoy all the toys that we have to offer in our practice. So I got into practice on my own about 2011. I had a heart attack in 2015, and that really changed my perspective on life. And what I wanted to achieve in life. And I didn't want to be an independent practitioner all alone on an island anymore. So that's how I got involved with Physical, a network of physical therapists all geared toward providing the same type of care for their communities. So I joined Physical in 2016. Have been a member since. Decided I wanted to get really involved in the franchise model and help grow the profession as well. And that led me to the Franchise Advisory Council, which I am now president of. And we have a direct link to headquarters to help grow the profession with the people at headquarters to help expand what we offer. And then last year, with everything going on in physical therapy, with the continued cuts in reimbursement, difficulty finding staff, burnout, I decided I wanted to get involved in my professional association to see if I could help create some change within that. The APTA itself is it's a great organization, but it's got a lot of people that are practicing that are involved in leadership positions. So you have a lot of people in academia that are 40% of the House of Delegates, which decides the direction of the profession, are in academia, but academia represents 1% of our profession. So there needs to be some equality within that part of the association so that the voices of the clinician are heard for the profession, so we can go toward the right path in the future with payment reform, neutral site payments, things like that. So, this is a great profession. I love it. I've been doing it for 28 years. My daughter's getting ready to start physical therapy school this fall at my alma mater at University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I'm excited for her. I'm hoping that she'll join our practice. I would think she would. In 3 years. So we look forward to having her as part of our team. And hopefully we can keep growing our footprint in our region and providing the care that the community has come to expect from us.
I appreciate that. And there's so many different things in there. I think, as a patient, right? Your focus on the tools to provide the best possible outcome for me as a patient, but I also like how you mentioned like making it more fun for the providers too, right? Like
Right.
this can be fun, right? You can create that environment, but it has to be. And I would actually love your thoughts on your process for it, right? I would imagine that doesn't happen by accident, right? You don't have a fun environment by accident. So I'm curious, as you went to start your own and create your own brand, your own experience for both patients and providers, you walk us through that process, right? Because this is all about helping people who want to innovate within PT understand that they don't have to, get lightning in a bottle to be able to change the world, right? It could be incremental. It can be easier than they might think.
Correct. So when I started, I had 14 years of practice working for other people. And as you do that, you start to realize what you like about certain practices and what you don't like about the way they do it. And when you're your own individual practitioner in your own practice, you can decide what you want to do. So we decided to put money into innovation because, for example, balance. We have a safety overhead support system. They're not that expensive to put in, but not many clinics have it. How is it different? I equate balance to learning to ride a bike. If you have a child and you're teaching them to ride a bike, you're always holding on to the bike. At some point, you have to let go so they can learn to ride the bike on their own. Well, in balance therapy, when you're trying to teach somebody to walk again, if you're holding them up by their belt buckle with a gait belt, you can't let them go because they can't fall. If they fall, there's going to be an injury. So the safety over support system is like the training wheels. We let go, we're not there, and they can walk over uneven surfaces. They can turn their head. They can do things to challenge their balance so that it improves. So when you're looking to open up your own clinic, you can do whatever you want. And it doesn't have to be state of the art right off the bat. You create the environment you want. We created a team approach in our practice where when I got out of school, I would realize I'd be working with patients and there'd be other providers working with me, and they'd have a cancel. And meanwhile, I'm in the weeds and I'm backed up with patients, and they were not willing to like jump in and say, hey, can I give you a hand with this patient? And I saw that. And, to be honest with you, we don't have a physical therapist office in our practice. They work with a rolling cart because if I'm a physical therapist, why am I in an office? Right? Unless I'm an owner or a manager, I don't really need an office. I need a place to call my own to do my documentation from. So I always want our therapists to be out front and center, available to the patient, and they can do their things on their cart. I don't need them going to a back office to do documentation and leaving a patient by themselves. That's just what I saw over years of practice, and that's how I created my business. I was fortunate enough to get a facility where I could start implementing some of those things I wanted to do, and then also putting the technology in it. We were the first one to have an Alter G, first one to have safety overhead support system. And when you're the first to do it in your community, guess what everybody remembers? You were the one that did it. It's like if you think of a cola brand, what's the first one that pops to mind? Coke.
Coca-Cola.
When you think of like a laundry detergent, what's the first one that pops to mind?
Well, that's
Tide.
Tide.
It's usually Tide. So right, exactly. So it's always, if you're the first to do it, you're always the innovator. If you bring that to your community, everybody's going to remember you're the first one to have it. And others, the most sincere compliment I get is when colleagues, and I call them colleagues, not competition, they're colleagues, when they have practices and they add that service. They add it because they see that we did it and it was successful, and they're adding it because they want to have more success. And to me, that's the ultimate compliment. I don't look at anybody around me as competition. It's not. There's plenty of people that need our services. Let's just all do a great job taking care of our communities, and it will all take care of itself.
Thank you for listening to this episode. This would not be possible without the sponsorship of Sarah Health. Sarah is the relationship operating system for physical therapy practices, driving better patient outcomes, improved arrival rate, and improved financial margins. If you'd like to learn more, check them out at Sarah, S-A-R-A health.com, sarahhealth.com. And if you'd be interested in advertising with us and helping us produce even more great stories, please let us know at steven@sarahhealth.com. Now, back to the episode. I'll start with the competition piece and work way back because, one, you couldn't be more correct, right? If you look at why Medicare came out with these remote therapeutic monitoring codes, right, is because they believe that only 1% of their members are actually completing a plan of care, right? So they think that only 10% of their membership actually goes to get physical therapy that should. And then of that 10%, only 10% are actually completing the full plan of care and getting to the outcome that they could be, minimum the outcome they could be, and maybe even beyond, right? So I couldn't agree with you more that there is such an untapped potential here. And then to say that there's competition, but then I have a 6-week wait list, like that doesn't make sense, right? That's not logical to me to say those two things. And the physical therapy community is so unique in that way, and it's really awesome to work within it. And I like how you walked me through the safety overhead system, support system. That makes so much sense. And I know I can easily see the patient risk, right, and injury risk going way down to almost null,
significantly.
but also your provider risk too, right? Like
correct.
Catching
they don't
somebody.
Have to support a big patient. Yep.
I know when we were in the serving physical therapy groups, serving fire departments in particular, I think it was in the state of Indiana, I want to say either 50 or 60% of all injuries to firefighters were from picking people up.
Really?
Yep.
I believe it.
Yep.
I believe.
And so, yeah, there's not only the patient safety aspect, but also the provider safety aspect, right, of that. And I really appreciate how you've invested in that, knowing that we can't afford to lose a single physical therapist for any reason, much less occupational injury.
And one of the things about what we do is that you have to understand that we are a service-based industry. We just happen to be operating in the healthcare realm. So it's all about the experience. So Stephen, if you come into my practice, I want you to be greeted at the front desk with somebody with a smile. How are you, Stephen? Nice to meet you. I got some paperwork for you. So the experience from the time you walk in to when you get to the therapist in the back, to the facility itself, the cleanliness of it, the interaction with all the staff. So when you walk out, you're like, that was really good. And that's something I can't replicate at home. You know, I can do these exercises at home and they're a compliment to what my therapist is offering. But I see the value in coming into the clinic to be treated. And that's important. It's even from the phone call that you make in the interaction with phone call. So every member of the team is equally as important as the next. And I tell patients all the time is they'll come back and they'll finally get to me and they may like me as a therapist and say, well, the good thing is you liked everybody else leading up to me, because if you didn't like the people at the front, you would never get back to like me. So that's how you have to have that mindset. We are just a service-based industry operating in the healthcare realm. That's it.
I couldn't agree with that more. And to take that a step further, the way that we look at it, right, is in what the codes that we facilitate, right? As I think about it, it's how can we help practices provide concierge care, right? Like concierge level care within an insurance-based environment. And how can you thread that needle? Because the owners that get it, like you, it's like that's it, right? Like how close can I get to having no handcuffs in terms of what I can do and the way I want to engage and the experience I want to provide, but do it within an insurance landscape. So that way you don't have to be worth, a ton of zeros to be able to come in.
Right. And your platform that we just started using a few weeks ago, the engagement we've had from our patients is very high. I think you're at 60% engagement with the text messaging. We have patients that actually go beyond the text of a yes, no, maybe, and we're able to respond to them in time. Even over the weekend, some of the therapists are responding to the patients. And I tell you, it goes back to the experience. It's just an extra layer of the experience they're getting by coming to see us that is just puts us over the top and makes us head and shoulders better than other providers in the area, just because it's customer service. All people want, today's healthcare patient is rushed in and out of every place they go.
Yep.
Everybody is overworked, understaffed throughout healthcare. So when a patient comes in and they have people actually interacting with them, answering their text messages, responding to them, they come back in and they are tickled pink. And they will go tell 200 of their friends how much they love us. And it's like that rule of the wedding, you know, everybody knows 200 people. And I say, how do you know that? Because whenever you go to a wedding, there's 200 people there. So they will tell a handful of people they like you, but they will tell all 200 if they don't. And that's just so, it's all about customer service.
Oh, there's so much there. I love how there's just like that engagement, right? And as a patient, I know in my experience, especially like if I go to see a primary care physician, right? Like if I am lucky to be able to even talk about what I've experienced in the last 10 days that led me to create the appointment, right? Like maybe and everything else is lost. And I think the way that you and your staff are interacting or giving it away to be able to not have the deluge of data, right? When you come in, like just word vomit. I don't know what's important as a patient. I'm just going to tell you everything, right? And now it's, hey, I see your confidence level is trending up. That's great. But you might be, your confidence level and where I think you are different, right? One way or the other. But it gives you a really great way to have that conversation versus how confident are you feeling today? It's like, well, that's today, right? It could be different than yesterday. Not track chronologically, but anyway, not here to talk about that. But we'll come back.
Right.
And so we talked about your how you got here and your why behind what you're doing now. And so I want to take a shift and ask you about your two of your proudest achievements. So one that we'll start with is within PT, and the other is outside. So what would you say your proudest achievement in physical therapy is to date?
Probably opening my practice, to be honest with you, to be able to serve the community, and then seeing it take off like it did. And it never gets old when a patient comes to the front desk. I had it yesterday. I was sitting there typing up some documentation, and I think people know who I am. I don't see everybody anymore because we have so many patients. We have 9 providers, 10 providers, but they all know, I think, who I am. And I don't know everybody's name, but a gentleman was being discharged yesterday I've never met, walked by and said, "You have a great staff here. And thank you so much." It was his last day. And I said, "Thank you so much. I appreciate that, sir." Those are the moments that make me happy that I did this. And then of course, whenever you treat a patient and they get better, you can appreciate that too. But it's just being able to provide a service for this community. And we've expanded what we've offered. So now we have pelvic health, vestibular, balance, orthopedic, neurological. We're growing. Our biggest barrier to growth is actually finding providers. Yep. And that's everybody's barrier right now. If we could find more providers, we could add more services. So hopefully in the next few years that'll change, and we'll have more people in the profession that we can utilize to help grow. But that's been my biggest. Personally, my 2 kids and my wife, I couldn't do anything without them. They're what get me up and get motivated every day. I couldn't do what I'm doing without them. I can't wait for my daughter to be a physical therapist. I'm excited for her. I know she's excited to do it. And that'll be in 27. So hopefully she'll join our practice then. And, but that's my proudest achievement. And as I'm sure you can attest to too, as you have a little one, they're the apple of your eye. And even though mine are 21 and 18, they're still, the most important things in my life, with my wife. So,
couldn't agree more, even though, I'm closer to those numbers in months, not years. But
it'll go by quick. It'll go by really quick.
Oh, so fast, right? It feels like it was a blink of an eye when he held his bottle for the first time. Right. And boom, right? That was 15 months ago. You're 100% correct. It does go quick. And as someone who also, I guess I'll put it out in the world now. As someone who also worked for their dad, it's special. It really is special. Now he and I had a relationship that it was during high school and college. It was the oil fields of Southeast Kansas. And so I was boss's boy in the oil fields, which is not necessarily the title that you want.
Right.
And to top it off, he said, I'm going to be the hardest boss you've ever had. And he was right up until I started this company, and now I report to myself, and he's second place now. But I appreciated so much all the lessons, and you get at least in my experience, and I would imagine your daughter will have a very similar experience should that be the route, is you get an insight into actually how to run the business too, not just do your day job. And that is a level of insight and knowledge that I've been blessed to have since I was 18, much less 38, and being able to have that was extremely helpful for me. So it's a gift in multiple ways, I think, as you'll again hopefully come to.
I never realized how much I've gotten to know about the field of physical therapy and how to run a business until I interact with others. And I realized, like, wow, I do know a lot about this profession and running a business, but it's second nature because I do it every day. But it's a lot to take in. It's been absorbed over a dozen years, so it's kind of hard just to write it all down and say this is how you do it. You have to live it. And I've been through, believe me, just starting the business up. I had lots of mistakes. I learned from my mistakes, and you correct it, but it's frustrating. It's hard to navigate this field of healthcare with clearinghouses, with credentialing. It's a nightmare. So I learned it all the hard way. I would just keep up like, whoops, that's the wrong form. That's the form I need to fill out. Whoops, that's the wrong form. So, but it's not easy, but so I'm eager for her to come join. She's going to have to practice for a couple years first just to get good at being a physical therapist first. And then hopefully by the time I'm pushing 60, she'll be able to start, segueing into taking over running the day-to-day operations. That's our goal. So
I love it. Make it a family-owned business that continues to
keep it that way.
I love that. And you mentioned credentialing and clearinghouses, and we've talked about a couple other challenges, both already on this time together, but also when I was there a couple weeks ago. And so now I get to one of my favorite questions, which is, you had a magic wand, right? And you got to fix one thing within physical therapy. What would you fix?
Well, I think most people would say that the payment, the lack of payment, that's a big problem for providers. But honestly, if I could fix one thing, I would level the playing field. There is not neutral site payment. So the services I perform in my clinic behind me right here will be reimbursed at about a third of the price or the reimbursement of those services performed in an outpatient setting in a hospital. So it's the same exact care. I would very much venture to say that mine might be even better, but I'm biased because it's my business. But the same product or service is triple the value when it's attached to a hospital or part of a hospital chain. So we need neutral site payment reform. That'll level the playing field across the everything. And then that will, like competition, be the driving force to what succeeds. So I'm all for that. If we can get that, I think that'd be great. And with that will come payment reform at the same time. If I could go back in time, I'd probably say we didn't need to get a doctorate in this field with the way things have gone. I don't dislike having a doctorate. I think it's great, but we never got the payment reform and the autonomy that I think our profession was looking for back in like the late 90s when they decided to go for the DPT. So here we are 25, 26 years later, and these students come out of college with immense debt. And it makes it very difficult for them to get out of it when they're coming out of school with $200,000 in debt as a physical therapist. So there's a lot. I don't know if, like we talked about before, maybe I'd want more wishes than one. But I think if we can just level a playing field and let competition speak for itself, and that would be the best thing for us, and that would actually save a lot of money in the healthcare system as well. So there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, and hopefully somebody will work toward it. That's one of the reasons I got involved in the APTA, and I am running for the board of directors for the APTA in 24, just to have a financial oversight of the association in terms of how they spend their money, and also just to try to bring more clinicians to the fold so we can speak up. Because if you sit there and you just complain about the issues, but you never actively do anything, nothing gets accomplished. It reminds me of when I did Little League, and I'd volunteer my services, and then people would be on the sideline. Their kids would be playing, and they'd complain about the umpires. They complain about the field not looking good. I'm like, well, everything's volunteer. If you want to make a change, then you got to help. Well, I'm too busy. My life's too busy. I'm like, it's not that busy. You just don't want to do it. So it's like, you have to get involved. It doesn't pay anything. I don't get paid to be the VP of Maryland. I don't get paid to this stuff, but I'm doing it because I like my profession and I want to see it succeed in the future. So that's why I do it.
One of the things I like to ask too, and is advice to those who are looking to innovate within the PT world, and just a couple of pieces of tactical pieces of advice. And I think that's one of them, right? Is just be the change that you want to see. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be you don't have to climb Mount Everest, right? But to your point on the Little League, right? Like, oh, you don't like how the field looks? Like, what is that? An extra 15 minutes and just raking? And all of a sudden the infield looks 10 times better, maybe even more. It's to your point. That's not, hey, it's the excuses and just being comfortable with just complaining about it should be a
it's easier to complain. It's easier to complain to actually do something. So it's like, be a part of the solution. That's what we want you to be. And that's what I'm trying to get people to do and I created a Facebook page of Physical Therapy Advocates for Change. We have like 700 members now, started in like December, and like-minded people getting together. And I'm trying to get those people to get involved in the APTA, join the APTA, be the voice, speak up for yourself, and tell them you want something, you want to see some changes and what you want. But, we can't let other people decide for us what the path forward is. You have to, even though you're busy as a clinician, you still have to find time to carve out to do what you want to achieve. So
I don't know if it'll make sense, in my home in Kansas City, but I'm happy to put a Gardner 2024.
Hopefully it'll help. I mean, I'm a long shot to win because it's only my first year there. So you have to, I think, get to know the different delegates stuff. But I told everybody I was going to run. I've got the nominating committee. They just sent out a form I have to fill out, give my resume, answer some questions of why I'd be a good candidate. And we'll see where it takes us. I'm excited. It's fun. I enjoy it. And if I get elected, that's awesome. If I don't, I'll try again next year.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal. I'll just keep trying. I'll eventually probably win. It might not be until 26, 27, but I'll eventually get on board. So
I love that attitude. You can't keep me out for forever, right? It's not going to wear you down.
I'll keep applying and I'll keep running, and I'll eventually get there.
I think that might be the other piece of tactical advice, right? Is not looking at. Yeah, failures is typically never
not an option,
right?
It's not an option. No. And when you run a private practice, there are a lot of obstacles in your way to success. For example, if you had Change Healthcare as your clearinghouse, and I have two friends of mine that have them, they have not been paid in a month for seeing patients, and they are running on fumes. So you have to be very strong and just keep fighting through it, realizing that your money is dwindling to nothing, but it's going to eventually be paid. Take out loans at the bank to make your payroll. Don't pay yourself. It's tough. It's tough. I'm fortunate I do not have Change Healthcare. If I did, I would be finding back ways of trying to, make things work to pay my staff, not pay me, and keep them paid while I work through this stuff, whether it's a loan at the local bank for payroll. Those are just stressful things you have to deal with as an owner. And a lot of people don't realize that when you get into it, it's not easy. It's not easy.
No, it's not. And although our businesses are very different, right, in our model and everything else, those stresses and those activities hold true, right? And the very not fun conversation to have is, hey, honey, payroll isn't going to hit us this week, right, this month,
right?
And if there's a piece of advice that I'll put in, it's when you decide to find that life partner, like, choose wisely.
Yes, 100%.
Extremely wisely on that, because I don't know where this business would be if it wasn't for my wife, but I know it's not where it is today, and it's in a worse place without her. 100%.
100%.
Easy.
I agree 100%. My wife has been supportive since day one of doing this. Never doubted me in a day. Even if I had doubts, she wouldn't doubt me. And matter of fact, she's a physical therapist as well, but she's actually overseeing front end operations right now to make sure things are running smooth. But I can't do it without her. She's my rock. So she's always there for me, and you're 100% right on that. 100%.
That it makes the dark days so much better. I mean, survivable, right? Might be a good word for it. And having someone to celebrate with is worth its weight in gold on the good days. So yeah, I think those are 3 really, really good pieces, right? So, find that partner that's going to be, if you choose to go down that route, find the one that's going to be supportive and also has a ironclad stomach. If you can. Then failure is temporary. Right. And trying and failing is better than nothing, which I love. There's a book by Brian Johnson called Arete. And his mantra is, did you win or did you learn? And I love that. I think that is a great way to look at it. And then the last is be the change you want to see. Right. You're right. It is so easy to, be in the, be in the crowd and throwing tomatoes, right? It's much more difficult to be willing to put yourself on stage and actually try to make the change that you want to see. But I'll argue that the pain that you won't have if you choose to get on stage is the pain of regret. And that is much worse than a tomato or two.
100%. 100%. I agree with you.
Perfect. Well, Scott, I think that's all. I want to say thank you so much for spending 30 minutes with me and our listeners.
That's fun.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Take care, buddy.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Disruptors. I hope that you were able to take 1 or 2 things away that you can apply immediately to your own innovation journey. As always, I'm your host, Stephen Cohen. It's sponsored by Sarah Health. Let's keep moving.